Oh, the worst loss of the season, relatively speaking, in terms of just...
Disagree.
Which was the worst for you?
Arizona.
See,
Kobe Brissett.
The way that I keep coming back to that one is like, that was also the bottom of just they suck. Like, this was like we kind of were thinking they were okay. And you were at home and just... Like, I mean, Brissett had played better leading up to this than McCarthy had. Like, McCarthy had not looked good other than the previous week, but McCarthy had been...
What were the spreads for each game? This one, I think, was 3.5. I guarantee you it was more against Arizona.
Let's find out.
You had just come off of losing to Denver by 20. You beat Washington by 20. But no, everyone that I see and see comment and analyze...
3. Dallas by 3 against Arizona.
3?
Mm-hmm.
At home?
Mm-hmm.
Check your own money puck, RJ. I don't know.
I'm looking at it. It's right here on Pro
this
Football
one-
Reference. Vegas line. Dallas Cowboys -3.
Oh, gosh.
BetMGM had this week at 5. Well, I guess it went off at 5.
For Minnesota?
For Minnesota. What week was the Arizona game?
Minnesota was a 3.
Week 9.
Week 9.
Oh, yeah. Nothing.
Week 3.
Well, I was talking about the spread because I already answered the question.
Yeah, you probably looked at the Chicago spread.
Week 9. It was 3. Yeah, it was 3.
3.
Look at that. So,
3.5.
bigger disappointments. All right, so you want to start with the offense or the defense?
Let's start with, I don't know, Choppy. You pick. It's all
I
depressing.
think the defense is absolutely where it needs to start and end.
Okay, so J.J. McCarthy.
So you don't want him to do the offense.
I do. No. I'm saying like that's the loss of the game was like that's. I think that's the at the end of the day I'll be focused on that.
J.J. McCarthy. They didn't just give it to him. Like, I mean, they did not play well. McCarthy made some throws that he hasn't been making this year. So particularly, they ran some route combinations towards the middle of the field that they hadn't been running all year. They were running Justin Jefferson, I think, coming into this game had run 9 slants all year. Like as a route, he ran I think 4 in this game. So I mean, they were trying to go. They were trying to put some stuff in the middle of the field, confuse what the Cowboys were wanting to do. Jalen Naylor played really well. He did a good job kind of setting up the DBs. We obviously saw the Jordan Addison big strike, but overall, I think McCarthy just made some nice throws. The throw to Naylor for the touchdown was a really good throw. Some of the conversions that they had were nice throws, and it's just, I think that if you're pressuring him, he doesn't look as good. The fact was that that's where Dallas's factor comes into it, is they just didn't hurry him. And so he was able to sit back there and comfortably kind of, you know, pick things apart. But he deserves credit for making some throws that were not just gimme pitch and catch throws. He made some nice throws in this game. And then there were some other times that kind of got flustered.
I think he's got the highest rate of missing wide open receivers in the league. We see more miscommunication with Justin Jefferson. I thought there was a catch or two that Jefferson should have had, but he gives you some of those random wow moments like Bo Nix.
Right.
Like Bo Nix the other day making a couple of plays, those plays for Denver. I was like, whoa, Bo Nix is not supposed to be doing that.
I mean, last year we had that throw that we just sat here and just marveled at for
Elway-esque.
Yes, 3 weeks.
Yep.
And I mean, he made 2 of those throws. Like I said, Hawkinson had not done anything deep all year. He made 2 catches vertical that they don't send him on those routes very frequently. So there's some different route combinations that they did. Hawkinson, on the one that he caught, I think it was a third down, but it was that one that was off to the sideline. And Hawkinson apparently after the game had told reporters he didn't even see the ball. That he looked up and he saw the stadium lights and the ball was lost in it, and then the ball was just kind of like on him, and he made the catch. And so they had some, if it had not been for McCarthy like putting the ball right on him, he doesn't make that catch. But overall, Dallas's lack of pressure is what killed them in this game. But McCarthy still had to execute on some of those throws in instances where Dallas had decent coverage. This wasn't a game of busts like we saw against the Giants or things like that. They were just getting beat, which is disappointing because Minnesota's not that good. Kenneth Murray was better than Logan Wilson, and I didn't think that live, but he was better.
Whoa!
And Logan Wilson in this game did not look great. He looked a little slower, like a step slower in terms of processing things that he was looking at. So I don't know if there was just something that threw him off from the study week that he just wasn't anticipating, but he was like a step slower to react to it. And still in coverage, he's just... That's his biggest liability right now at this stage of his career, is just being able to work in coverage. And he gets picked on a little bit there. Murray gets picked on, too, because he's oftentimes in the wrong spot or not where he's supposed to be. If Murray sees it correctly, he's athletic enough to cover it, and he does a decent job. He didn't have a bunch of misreads in this game, so he was okay.
Yeah, but the one misread that the internet is replaying over and over and over again was him running like outside the tackles for the draw by the goal line.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That was a positive play. As the Cowboys were talking, the Cowboys told people yesterday, and this is the thought for, I know John Owning had said it when he was watching it. That is Kenneth Murray's gap he's supposed to step in. That was Kenny Clark's miss. Kenny Clark had driven past and completely lost the gap, and that's where that whole thing is the idea of Kenny Clark's supposed to hold his gap, and then the whole idea is run fits. Everybody's just supposed to fill into a spot to where the running back doesn't have anywhere to go. So Kenneth Murray, when he's stepping up and reading, and there's just an open gap, his step is he's supposed to go in through there. So he did. He went where he was supposed to go to like just preserve in case of a cutback, but he went where he had his fill. It was Kenny Clark got beat on the play and basically driven in the backfield. This is not a great game from Kenny Clark in the run game. He was a little bit better in some of the stuff that he was doing in the pass rush, but overall this was kind of a disappointing day from Kenny Clark. Post-up clarity here on 105 through the fan. I thought Deron Bland played better than I initially thought. So that's one thing that I've got clarity about, is that it's still bad. The touchdown to Naylor's bad, and I'm convinced he thought it was a run play, and he thought he was about to get blocked up. But I thought, in general, played physical, forced some really tight throws on a couple of instances, did his job for the most part. I thought Revel was better live than I saw him back. I thought Revel didn't play as well when I was watching back. Revel was having some issues just, staying balanced and reading things. There were a couple different times where there was one play in particular, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Jefferson had beaten him to the corner, and McCarthy just didn't see it. But, Revel got torched on that play.
And Bland's highlights were against Jefferson, like Collinsworth was pointing out on TV.
Yeah, he played well.
Yeah.
I think I would grade this as...
I wasn't even trying to kill him too much for the touchdown. The internet did.
It was such a bad read, and he just got caught flat-footed. He did a good job to get back into position, but... It was bad. I honestly thought watching this live and then definitely watching it back, he should have been flagged for pass interference on 3 different occasions. I don't know why they didn't throw it, but he was.
They were letting him not throw a ton.
I don't. They were league average heading into this game, but he was mugging Jefferson on a couple of those. The two guys who stood out to me as playing really, really good in this game on defense were Donovan Wilson and Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams, him going out was such a kick in the groin. Them losing. If Javonte Williams and Quinnen Williams play this entire game, I wonder if it's any different at all, or if it changes things.
They didn't get any pressure on McCarthy. Was Quinnen from a pressure standpoint or run stopping?
Well, a lot of times, McCarthy, a lot of his, if he was rolling out or a lot of the different things that he was doing, they were trying to combat moving away from Quinnen. So, but Quinnen had a couple of pass rush wins in this one. I thought he was pretty disruptive in this game. Schottenheimer highlighted him yesterday, said he played really well. And I think he was out, I don't remember, it was like a 10 to 12 play stretch that he was out. And then they were kind of increasing his rotation. Then obviously he went out with the concussion later. And
he's in protocol.
Yes, and Schottenheimer talked about him yesterday with the concussion protocol, said he's in the building, said he seems to be okay right now. He's just one of those things you can't predict.
Just sit and relax, Quinnen. Just take a week off. Better safe than sorry.
All right, offensive side of the ball.
Just a week?
No, more.
George Pickens. I thought the effort looked okay when I was paying attention on the first couple drives, and when I went back and watched it, he was fine. Again, same sort of thing. There wasn't an issue there. I know there wasn't an issue there.
So that's improvement.
You got to do this.
He was frustrated. Like you could see it on tape. There were a couple different times. He's not frustrated with his team. He's frustrated by the way that Minnesota was playing him. It was irritating him a little bit.
Yeah,
because he talked a lot in this game. And not in the cocky sort of way. It was more you saw him chirping and kind of looking to refs come on, what are we doing? Like I'm getting, mugged. This should have been illegal contact. Like you can tell he's chirping about he thinks there were penalties. He's getting irritated with the way coverage is going, so he's like just barking at the corner all the time because he's not getting opportunities that he needs. So not frustrated at his own team, but definitely frustrated during this game. Didn't affect his effort though.
This is why we really need that 10-play video breakdown on the fan cam, Twitch, and YouTube.
I started doing it yesterday.
Nice. Well, because I've just never heard, and I'm not saying this with any type of strong opinion. I've never heard like a great player described so often as the effort was fine. It was kind of George. I'm trying to think of another player.
Moss.
I likened it. Maybe Moss. I likened it to Robinson Cano. You've brought up Manny Ramirez, where it's like, are they loafing or is that just their style? And
Luka?
that's no, Luka just didn't play defense.
No, I know, but there's Luka's slow style. A lot of times, what looked like people were like he just like that was his way that he played the game.
Yeah, but I never questioned like effort. You can't question effort really when the guy has a ball in their hands.
Yeah, some guys are just.
I'm just trying to think of like another kind of lackadaisical. It's difficult for basketball.
But Harden was always considered lazy looking even with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, but that was yeah.
Body style, body type too. I mean, but your Cano thing. I mean, he was one of my favorite players. Like he is so smooth, but it looked like he didn't care. And that's one of the downsides of being like super smooth at something is like you give off that error. Robert Smith, the running back, looked like he was running in slow motion, but he's pulling away from you.
See,
it just looked.
I saw
slow.
people tried to throw out Amari Cooper, for this one. Amari Cooper was a demeanor like that of just very stoic or whatever. But Amari, like you would watch him run routes, and it's like he's just he's very clearly locked into what he's doing.
I never thought or heard that once watching him.
Yeah, because I saw some people they were trying to throw out like, well, Amari's the same sort of person. It's like no, he's not. Amari was not. Amari was just a very stoic personality, but Amari's effort was always. He was going hard, and he was hurt a lot.
I think KNC brought up Josh Hamilton. Possibly.
Hamilton makes sense. Yeah. Hamilton was a guy who same sort of thing, and he was the natural. But effort okay in this one. Dak Prescott could have been better. I didn't like on the 3rd and 8. The throw to Turpin for like a yard.
Oh God! What the hell were they trying to do?
That was
there?
not designed to go there. The design was for Pickens in the corner. And Pickett, so the problem was that they got the rush off instantly. I think Dak just misdiagnosed who was coming on the blitz. And yesterday, Shotty had talked about this, and I know we mentioned it yesterday, was the Harrison Smith was so big in this game for the Vikings in terms of like how late he would stay at the line of scrimmage and not show you when he was bailing. He was really good about waiting to the last second to bail because Shotty was talking about how a lot of the ways that you try to manipulate that is cadence. So Dak's cadence, you're trying to get Harrison Smith to commit to, here comes the snap, so I got to show you what I'm doing. And he was just a savvy veteran who was not biting on the cadence at all and was staying locked in until 1 second before the ball was being snapped, and then he was bailing or he was going. But Shotty said there were a bunch of different times where they read cover 0, and it wasn't that.
My biggest issue with Dak in this game, besides not figuring out what Flores was doing, and credit to Flores for that. By the way, that's the answer. I think I read yesterday Flores' contract is up. Just try to money whip him and get him here. Just do it. Now, that is an instance where I would say force your scheme a ton upon players and just keep rotating and cutting and signing and drafting until you can get guys who can figure it out that man's scheme. And I'm not just saying that he has a reputation, not just one game, but I think his deal is up. Now, he's probably going to be trying to look for a head coaching opportunity, and I don't know that he would want to leave Minnesota, but just money whip him and bring him in if that deal is up.
Was there something, I'm trying to remember, wasn't there something in that Flores lawsuit that talked about the Cowboys?
I don't know.
I can't. I think there was some. I think they were referenced or like. I think Flores had obviously not his own experience, but he had mentioned things he had heard in the NFL, and I think he. So I don't know if that would be a sticking point. Last note here on Post Clarity: there's one player that we did not give a star up to yesterday, who was probably the best player on the field for the Cowboys yesterday, and this is why you go back and watch, is because this is the position that you really have to find. Tyler Smith was dominant. Tyler Smith played best game of the year
What happened to him with his helmet off?
So he got jabbed in the eye. There was a pass rush. He got hit in the eye. That was kind of scary when you saw it because he immediately let go of his block, and then he was down for a while on the field, and everybody's just kind of concerned, like, gosh, like he didn't get his eye like poked like out or something, did he? But he was so good in this game, played with so much more power than I've seen throughout the year. Both phases, run game, pass blocking, he was fantastic. Tackles were awful. Tackles were both bad. They both got better grades over at PFF. They were both bad. So the problem, here's the thing, is that when they're showing 8 and then they're bailing out or they're sending different blitzers, for instance, PFF gave decent marks to the tackles and pass blocking. The reality is that you can't really tell a lot of times if they were blowing assignments, because if they're sending so many guys, the tackles are going to block somebody, but they may not be blocking what they're supposed to. And then a running back's lunging because, nope, that was supposed to be blocked up. And so it can create some confusion where you don't really know. But I thought Steele specifically, more than Thomas, had problems. But the tackles, both of them not going to. Guyton's got to get back. Yeah. Guyton's gotten to the point where he is really solid for them, and they have been missing him. And this was definitely one of those games where they were missing him.
Yesterday on the KNC Masterpiece, Stephen Jones was on replay, brought to you by Window Nation, and they asked Stephen, does Matt Eberflus have the right pieces to succeed?
Hey, this will obviously be something that we evaluate in the off season. We've gotten better, from a personnel standpoint, and thought we were really turning a corner. Obviously, we played a really good offensive football team in Detroit, and that was tough. But to have 10 days, and it's not just the defense; it's offense and special teams. To have 10 days to get prepared, play a home game against Minnesota. We're certainly not satisfied with, how we played that game. And, I think Coach Schottenheimer said it best. It's from the top down. That includes starting at the very top with Jerry and myself and Will and our coaching staff and our players. We just, to have 10 days to get prepared, we didn't do a good job.
So there's Steven yesterday on the D&M Leasing Hotline.
Shotty took a lot of self-heat like he does. But, I think he genuinely was not happy with some of the things that he did, like just responding it and reading it and doing some things. He also, I need to try and pull this because I was listening to it coming in, but he had said yesterday he got asked about Eberflus and the job that he had done. They're like, how do you feel about the job Eberflus has done? He's like, oh, Matt's a great coach. He always says that. Instead, his answer went, listen. And then he went into, none of us have been great, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, that was not at all any sort of like trying to cover him. I think everybody in the building is getting to a point that, does it end in him getting fired? I don't know. But I think everybody in the building is getting to a point of real frustration with, okay, Eberflus, you've been given the stuff now. What's going on?
So reset this for us, because a lot of people are trying to recycle this point that, Schottenheimer did not make the Eberflus hire. People are trying to say, and you're going to ask Jerry at 8:30 this morning, who's going to make the call on it? I think some people are trying to give Shotty that free pass by saying, no, Jerry gave you this DC. What's the reality?
So I think Schottenheimer, it was such a late hire. I think Schottenheimer was, sure, a head coach. Like, there's an attractive aspect to it. Yeah. He's a former head coach. He's somebody who had decent defenses for a few years before that. He's somebody who knows how the Dallas building operates. And so I think for Schottenheimer, but it was something where he was available. Jones has obviously looked at him. I don't think it was like, this is your DC. I think they were like, what about Matt Eberflus as quarterback? And I think Shotty was probably like, fine. Check some boxes. That sounds good. Sure.
Wasn't opposed.
If he would have said absolutely not, I think they would have probably hired somebody else. But I think it was a front office suggestion that Shotty was like, sure, that seems to make sense, and you guys know him and seem to think he does a good job. Sure. And I think patience is wearing thin for everybody.
Post-Hut clarity on the home of the Cowboys